You're listening to the Crochet Conversations podcast with Inez and Mell, and this is episode 45. What's going on with our whips? Hello, welcome back to another episode. Happy Sunday, everybody.
Hi guys, happy Sunday.
Hope you all had a good week. We had a really crazy week.
Yeah.
Not for any particular reason. It's just work has been really insane, and we've spent a lot of money this past week.
You spend a lot of money.
I bought 4 kg of yarn from my supplier that's about to come in. I'm just sampling different yarn types, so it's a lot of money I've spent. It's I bought 4 different balls of color and 9 different colors. So, we are sort of anticipating our next yarn sale, that's why. So it's kind of been crazy. I've spent a lot of money, but I've convinced Mel it's for the best.
Yeah, so those of you who are listening who are also following us on Instagram, you just, keep in mind that
that yarn is coming.
Yeah, that, there's going to be a live yarn sale soon.
Thank you guys so much for sending in all of your, videos on Instagram.
Yes.
For tagging us on our Instagram and sending us really nice sweet messages, because I think right about now everyone is sort of received
their yarn, yeah.
Right,
their
and started,
stash, yeah.
and started on their projects and things like that. So we've been getting tagged, and it's so exciting to see yarn that would have otherwise been sitting on my shelf just smiling at me. Now it's in somebody else's wonderful hands.
Yeah, it is very nice to see it, turn into this exciting projects and see it kind of coming together and turning into really nice
things,
I think there was a cardigan sort of, and,
yeah,
and other
and
things,
a beanie or
yeah.
something. And when I posted, so I recently, I think it was yesterday or the day before, I posted to my stories that I just bought 4 kilograms of yarn. It's insane, and I received so much support, not one negative comment about
Really?
it. Yeah, everyone was like, wow, I can't wait, that's amazing, good job, that's why you sold your yarn for, you go girl. So it's
Okay, Team Inez, right? Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, along with all of these messages that we've been seeing, we have a lot of people commenting, asking how our whips are going. And after the past few really heavy episodes about the Zara collaboration and the some other technical episodes that we talked about, we thought that it would be nice to sort of give a little check-in as to how our whips are going. That's another topic that I'm nervous about. But people have been saying oh, here are my whips because I just got your yarn. So how are your whips, guys? Do you remember on the 1st of Jan or whatever the first episode was, you guys said to hold you accountable? Well, now we're holding you accountable. So Inez and Mel, how are your whips? I mean, they didn't say it this way, but basically that's what they said.
Yeah.
So we thought that this episode would give you a little check-in onto what we are doing, what updates we have for the business, any upcoming live sale, stuff like that, and also what the whips we are doing individually and together.
And I'm hoping that you guys can give me some new ideas on future whips.
I also need ideas.
You need ideas?
Yeah, because there's one project that I'm working on that I really want to start, but I'm kind of not very sure what I want to do. I just know I have this yarn and I want to use it.
Okay.
That's kind of the same for you, right? So anyway, Mel and I have sort of what we call the short-term whips, which is the current whips that we're working on, and we have long-term whips. So this episode is not going to cover the long-term whips, okay? If you listen to one of the earlier episodes where we talk about our whips, you know that Mel is a mono whip girl.
Yes, one whip girl.
Not anymore. And I am the poly whip girl. I've got 30 over something whips going on, but some of them are kind of long-term whips.
Yeah.
Things that I can't complete in one sitting. I think this episode is coming at a good time because I recently went through a bunch of my whips and I have frogged a bunch of things and returned them into a cake.
Yeah.
So it's things that I have now, after sitting on it for 3-4 months, have decided that I don't really like it. There's nothing I want to do with it any further. And I thought that it would just be better to return it to a yarn form so that I could do something with it in the future should I have the inspiration to.
Yeah, and I agree. I think this is something like important to know. I also think we mentioned it previously before in our whip episode that it's always okay to go back and revisit.
To undo things.
Yeah, you know, and obviously try to put that yarn into better use for probably another project.
Yeah, and what do you waste? Just 3 months of your life.
But rather it having sit there for another year or
that's
so.
Right. No, I completely understand what you're saying, because I remember us talking about how if there's even a chance that you're not going to like it, once you've completed it, you're going to hate it even more.
Yeah.
And it's better to put in 3 months of work and hate it and then frog it and still get back your yarn in its original form than to finish the project and just never ever use it.
Exactly.
Because likely once you've sold in the tails, you're never gonna undo them.
Yeah, that'll be difficult. It's kind of like hard to go back to that. Yeah.
Yeah, and you just feel like such a waste. There is a top I'm staring at right this moment. I'm staring at it right now that I'm thinking of frogging into something else, but Mell is trying to convince me not to.
Because it's such a nice top and it's a finished product.
Yeah, it's
not
a finished
even,
top.
Yeah, it's not even a whip anymore.
But it's sometimes after a while, just looking at it, and I have leftover yarn for that, so it's like I barely use the 400 grams that I like sectioned out for myself. I probably only use like 250, so it's like I have another 150 grams of this yarn. I want to combine it and make it into something else that I will actually use.
Oh, okay.
But Mel said, if you're frogging it, you're doing it alone.
You're gonna do it yourself. But question, if it's a finished product, is it difficult to frog it?
I mean, yeah, because I've sewn in my tails really well, and I do the double knot method. So and this particular yarn, I can't split the yarn. It's like one thin I-cord.
Yeah.
So I can't split the yarn, so I've knotted it a few times, and it's to a point that I don't even remember
where the end is, right? Like where you finish it at.
Yeah, and I think I've added in like some scallop edging along the sleeves and the bottom.
Yeah,
so
the finishing,
it's gonna be a little bit to frog.
If you're gonna frog it, right?
if I frog it, Okay, so let's not drag on any further. Let's talk about our whips. Mel, do you want to explain why you're no longer a mono whip girl?
Would you say that I've advanced my level?
You definitely have advanced here. So Mel is no longer a one whip girl. Okay, she is working on multiple whips. Not entirely her fault. She's not really to be fair, Mel didn't go back on her word. It's just circumstantially.
Yeah. So I have this one grey cardigan piece that I've been working on for a couple of months already, I think.
Yeah.
But as I'm working on it and I'm like extending the length of it, because I wanted it to be a long cardigan, I have used up all my yarn.
She basically took whatever yarn was kept for the sleeves and added it down her butt.
Yeah, so now it's like a sleeveless cardigan.
Well, you started one sleeve, didn't you?
Oh yeah. But
so Mel has she's finished the length
sort of
the cardigan. She's finished the back and side and front panels. And she's got 2 inches of sleeve on one side and sleeveless on the other side.
Yeah, so currently the material is out of stock, so I'm just waiting for more stocks to come in.
Yeah. So
and
till
hopefully
then,
to continue it. Yeah.
So till then, and it's not like I have this yarn, because we bought this yarn specifically for Mel to use on her cardigan.
Oh yes.
It's a really, really dark grey tweed wool. It's so dark that it almost looks black, but it's just really dark grey. I have that same material but in the lighter grey. So I told Mel you could have a light grey sleeve, and she went, ugh, ew.
No way.
So that's one of Mel's current whips, right?
Yeah. Okay, let me explain why I'm a one whip girl. I think mono whip sounds weird. I don't know, it just sounds weird to me.
Okay, one whip girl.
Yeah, it's because I'm someone that like to really focus on one project at a time and finish it.
Yeah, you mentioned.
Yeah, and also because I'm not so advanced in my crochet technique, that I feel like if I do a project sort of halfway and
then
move
you
on
start
another one, I would kind of forget where I stopped
and get confused.
Yeah, so I just want to avoid that altogether.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is why you write notes down. This is why you document everything.
I know, I try, but
to be fair, Mel really does try. It's just that she's the kind of person that when she starts something, she needs to complete it, wrap it up nicely and then move on to the next project. She's very organized that way. But not for me, which is so funny because it's kind of the opposite of how we are in real life, right? That's Mell's project. So in part of one of the whips that I undid was actually the couple cardigan to Mell's grey cardigan, this exact same cardigan she's talking about. If you listen to our previous episodes, you know that we are working on a lemon peel cardigan. This is basically it. So Mell has a dark grey version. I have a cream, like a light cream
color. Yep.
It's the exact same yarn. It's just 2 different colors. I frocked it. It's just this yarn. The material is not for me. I don't know if I'm ever going to use it. I just like the idea of a couple something with you. Something that we've both made.
But, so are you still considering using this yarn to make something, or?
I don't know what I would use this yarn for.
Right.
But it's a pretty light cream tweed
Yeah, it does
yarn.
look very nice, yeah.
It's just that I'm now getting over the idea that we will no longer have a matching couple cardigan. But so that's one of the things I frocked. So in place of that though, should I share my first whip then?
Yeah, okay, since I mentioned my grey cardigan whip that is to be continued.
To be continued, yeah.
Until further notice.
So that grey cardigan whip is kind of on the back burner for you, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
So we buy this yarn from this place called Spotlight, and Spotlight, if some of you don't know, it's a yarn, like a craft store from Australia. So Spotlight has recently run out of this yarn and they have not restocked it in months. So, we're hoping that it's going to come back soon so that Mell can continue her project. But for me, I am currently about to start, or I have kind of started a little bit, right? I'm going to have to frog it.
Which one?
My pink top.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so my number one ongoing whip is a pink top, basically, like a V-neck, a drop low V-neck blouse.
Yeah.
It's solid on the front and it's going to be a lace detail at the back. And the reason I'm doing this, and it's all pink, is for this thing called Pink Dot in Singapore. So in Singapore, we have this event called Pink Dot, which is basically the equivalent of a gay pride. And instead of having like rainbow colors, Singapore wants it to be all pink.
Pink, yeah.
So then every year, everyone would gather in pink and they would take like an aerial shot and there would just be a pink dot in the middle of the city. So we obviously wear pink. And I realized that I don't have a pink crochet anything. I mean, I have a cardigan, a pink cardigan.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to wear a cardigan there because it's going to be in the middle of the day. It's hot.
It's outdoors.
It's outdoors. And Singapore's climate is summer 24/7. We don't have any season but summer. We're basically a tropical city.
Yeah.
Situated on the equator. Our average temperature is about 30 to 35 or 34 degrees Celsius. And for my American friends, it's like about 90 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's hot. It's always hot and it's humid. That's the worst thing about it.
Yeah, especially when it rains.
And Pink Dot, or our version of Gay Pride, will be held in a park.
Yeah.
So, oh my goodness, it's no shelter. It's just like an open area. So no way in hell I'm wearing a pink cardigan. So I wanted a really light summer type cotton pink crochet top.
Yeah, which makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of started on it already, but I realized that instead of using a 3.5mm crochet hook, I use a 3.75. So my back panel is currently 4 inches too long.
Yeah, because this is a pattern that you have previously done before, right?
Yeah, it's a pattern. It's a pattern that I know inside out. It's my own pattern. And I know that I need like 120 stitches, a chains across the back because I want it to be like a loose fitting, like a box top kind of thing. 120 stitches for 3.5mm crochet hook fits just nice.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I didn't bother to check
your hook size,
my pattern.
Right.
And I just grabbed the hook that I thought that I used. But now it's wrong, so now I have to frog. So I say that I'm about to start on it because I'm just trying to remind myself that I'm about to frog it. So I cannot say that I've started because it's going to be all undone in a second. Yeah. I've spent the whole of, was it yesterday, right?
Yeah,
the whole of yesterday doing it, and now I'm going to have to frog it. But, I have some time. Pink Dot will be held on June, what was it?
This year it's 2 days on the 18th and 19th of June.
Right. I'm assuming that's a Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep. So it's like I have till June.
About 2 months, right?
I'm not gonna rush myself. I should a little bit, but maybe I can relax a little bit. And anyway, I don't have enough yarn.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I only have 1 ball of yarn. I need about 4 balls.
Yeah,
in
about
total.
that. Yeah.
So that's my my very first whip.
I'm not so adventurous to start on the top for pink dot because I don't think even given me 2 months I'll be able to complete a top.
I think you would though.
But, since I'm not so adventurous and not so confident, I was thinking of doing like a mini headband for myself for pink
right.
dot.
Yeah, you mentioned because it's going to be so hot, right?
Yeah. But I haven't started on, researching on it or coming up with a pattern yet. I'll probably need your help on that. But yeah, that's why I decided to work on for my next like small mini project ongoing.
Right. Is it likely to be in the same material as my top? Because that would be so cute.
I don't know, but that's actually quite a good idea.
Because I'm quite sure that for the pattern that I want to do, I need about 3.5 balls of yarn. You could use the extra. I mean, this is just assuming Mel wants to be a couple wants a couple
with you,
wear
right?
with me. If you would
Wouldn't it be safer for me to get a ball, and if I have spare, you can take some?
The thing is, I know this pattern inside out.
Right.
I know how much yarn exactly I'm gonna need for my top.
Okay.
And I know I'm gonna have enough left over. And you don't
right.
have a fat head.
I have a small head. Thank you.
You don't have a fat head, so I don't think that you need, too much yarn.
Wow. Okay. I wasn't thinking of that, but
and
why
you don't
not?
have long hair. So it's not like it has to go around your bun or it's
Yeah.
like when you have
It's
a
like
lot of hair like
exactly
me.
on my head. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like snug to your skull.
Yeah.
When you have a lot of hair like me, you need to sort of keep that in mind when you're sizing your headband, but
Okay.
you don't have that issue.
But I'll probably will need to wait for you to complete your top first.
You can
right?
just use one of the ball of yarn
first.
start because I'm gonna have to buy 3 extra, right?
Okay.
And if I don't have enough, then I'll just go in a crop top.
That can work as well. Yeah.
That could totally work.
It could totally work, yes.
Okay, so that's our next project. Okay, guys, we're gonna have a matching crop top for me.
Crop top.
Basically, whatever got cropped off me is going on Mel's
My head, yeah. Thank you so much for sharing the tiny little bit with,
1 inch.
with my head.
I mean, I could give
Yeah.
off 1 inch of my top,
Yeah,
right?
totally. And we can save and not have any scrap yarn. See?
Oh my god.
There you go.
Okay, so that's our whips currently. Okay, should I then go for?
Would that be our only couple wear together?
Wait, don't we have anything that matches in crochet?
Not that I can think of right
The
now.
only
but-
thing that we have, I think, that matches in crochet is our crochet hooks.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's right.
Even then, you have your own false crochet hook.
Wow, our first couple
Something.
crochet together.
It's not even a couple thing. We're just using the same yarn.
yeah. Okay, we can make do with that. Yeah.
Okay, but sorry, if I need that, if I'm self-conscious and I need that extra inch to cover my tummy, then I'm sorry.
Okay.
Find your own yarn.
Fine.
Okay, so that's our first on the list for our ongoing whips.
Yeah.
So, before we get carried away, let's move on to my second whip. And don't you think it's so interesting that as of right now, Mel has already told you guys 2 of her whips, and I only have 1?
Surprise, surprise.
Surprise! How does it feel to have more whips than me?
Scary.
I mean, you don't actually have more whips than me, but
No, yeah.
So while we're on the topic of clothing, I have another whip ongoing that's also 1 sleeve short, and have you guys recently seen on YouTube and on, I think it was, I don't remember what shop, it could have been Zara, I don't know, but they recently put out a knitted sweater without the body, so it's just the neckline and the sleeves, and it's like
Right.
super cropped that way, and you're supposed to pair it with like a spaghetti top or like a tank top.
Yes, okay, I understand. Just like really long sleeves.
Yeah, it's just
right?
like a collar attached to really long sleeves, and there's no body at all.
Yeah.
And the body is meant to just be your cami or your tank top or whatever that's underneath. And I think the reason for that is just to keep your shoulders and arms warm, and not be your torso not to be hot or something.
Not having the need to warm up the rest of your body, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I've seen a lot of comments saying that's so stupid, you know, like what happened to the rest of the sweater. But I realized that for the climate in Singapore,
It's perfect.
it's perfect because, you know, because we're in such a hot climate, all the malls and the buses and the trains are very heavily air conditioned.
Yeah.
So you could be going from like a 30 degrees, like a 90 degrees Fahrenheit, 30 degrees Celsius weather outside, and the moment you enter a mall, it's like 18 degrees Celsius. It's like half that temperature.
Yeah, that all the windows are kind of condensing.
Yeah. So it's very cold, and it goes from hot to cold to hot to cold all the time. So even though we're in such a hot climate, we always need some sort of sweater or like just a shawl or something with you, because the malls are bloody freezing. So I've decided to make this for myself, and I've already done one in black, all black cotton, of course, and it's wonderful. It's beautiful. So I've decided to recreate another one for myself in like a moss green color, and I think it's turning out so well. I'm just making a little bit of an adjustment so that the sleeves are longer. It's not like a 3/4 sleeve like my black one.
Okay.
So I'm almost done with it. I just have one sleeve left on this, like, I don't even know what you call it. Sleeve attachment.
Sleeve attachment.
It's definitely not a sweater.
Yeah. Initially when I saw it, I think like a lot of people.
Yeah, we're wondering.
Yeah, I didn't think it was stupid, but I thought it was more like a fashion statement,
Like a trend.
sort of, because it does look pretty trendy, right?
And I mean, if you are living somewhere with the 4 seasons, and your summer is not that hot, I don't think that makes sense. Because say when we were in Australia is always so cold.
Yeah.
Even in the summer, it could, you know, it could go from like really, really hot to really, really cold in an instant.
It's the wind, right?
It's the wind, because it's a coastal city, right? So I think if you're in a place like that with a more unpredictable temperature, it wouldn't make so much sense. But in Singapore, it's like it's only 2 seasons, hot or hotter.
Yeah.
Right? Rain or no rain, you know? And when it does rain in Singapore, it's like horrible because everywhere is hot and humid and damp and moist and gross.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah,
so I think
yes.
having sleeves would be, you know, it's just a like nice little. I don't have to carry a scarf or carry anything with me. My torso is kept cool because it's not bundled up in like a blanket, right?
And at the same time, you're sort of wrapped up too, right?
Yeah, and I'm modest. My shoulders are covered. You know, my neckline is covered. It's just, you know, it's just a sleeve attached to the collar.
That design totally makes sense here.
Yeah, it makes sense here in Singapore in a hotter climate, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, that's my next whip, and this whip needed to involve Mel because it's a lot of counting.
Oh yeah.
It's so much counting, and so far all the colors I've chosen are really dark. So like a dark green and like a black. So
you have to be a bit more careful with that in terms of the pattern, right?
I just have to be careful not to miscount a stitch.
Right.
Which is why I give it to you to do it.
Yeah, to do all the maths and all the numbers.
All the counting and how to divide it so the sleeves are equal.
Yeah, so much pressure, guys. Imagine if I'm like, you know, a couple of stitch off.
Then my sweater
the whole
would be
sleeve would be like lopsided. Yeah.
So thank you, Mel.
Yeah.
That's my second whip.
So my next whip is actually for my mom.
Yeah, it is. Okay.
Yeah, so about 4 years back, I think it's been that long, she got a handphone case from us.
She got a couple of handphone cases.
Yeah. And recently I've been looking at it, and it's kind of worn out already over the years from, you know, washing, and I think it's
just like wear and tear over time.
Yeah, exactly. So I've, you know, been thinking about making her a couple of new handphone cases. So I've been working on that.
Yeah,
and
I think the previous handphone case that she got was acrylic.
Yeah.
And so now we're upgrading her
to 100% cotton.
To cotton, yeah.
Yeah, which would probably last a lot better and longer for her. Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing about this handphone case is that I used to make them for Mel's mom, right? So the ones that she bought were made by me, and obviously we tailored the colors to what she liked and everything. But so Mel's mom recently, you know, brought out her phone case and it looked a bit, you know, wonky, and then she kind of said, oh, well, maybe if you guys have extra, I could get a few. And so obviously the initial reaction was for everyone to look at me, and then I went, oh yeah, sure, I could make you a couple if that's what you want. But then when we came home and we talked about it, and I said, hey, hang on a minute, Mel, you know how to crochet now.
Now, yeah, not 4 years ago, but
Yeah,
now,
not
yeah.
4 years ago, but now, why don't you crochet something for her?
Yeah.
And initially, Mel was very like apprehensive about it. So
Yeah, because I want it to be really good, right?
yeah, because it's for your mom, you know,
Yeah.
you want it to be special. So we chose a few colors. We brought out a few colors for her because Mel's mom really likes green, right?
Yeah.
So we took out a few colors and she's chosen one, but she doesn't know that we intend to make a few more,
yeah, for her.
Yeah, so that she can switch out her colors. And Mel's mom loves like colors.
Like really bright, like wacky colors.
Yeah, she's really like quirky that way. She likes really bright colors. So, you know, we're gonna surprise her with a few, and I am not gonna do any of it. Not that I don't want to, but I think it's, you know, it's quite
It's nicer
sweet.
if it's coming from me, right? Maybe,
Yeah.
well, maybe I'm afraid I should be a bit more critical
Critical?
if she knows it's like from me.
No, I don't think so. I think your mom is very like appreciative of things like that. You know, like she appreciates you putting work into, you know, work time into something
Yeah,
that
yeah,
works.
yeah.
And Mel's mom is that way. She likes to like she values hard work and
Yeah,
you know
or like made by
hand
someone,
or
yeah.
you know, and now it's you.
Yeah.
And initially when I told her Mel will do it for you, she went, oh, you know, she
Don't-
kind of
Yeah, she wasn't sure when she's gonna get it by.
she thought that I was joking. You know, I said, yeah, Mel will make it for you. And she went, oh,
Okay.
okay.
Maybe she thought you were kidding. Yeah?
She
You were
probably
kidding,
did,
yeah.
but you know, when you give it to her, you have to actually
Yeah, I have
stress
to announce, right?
that-
This is made by me.
I Mel made it. I Mel, you know, because you know she might think that I don't know, like slowed
Yeah.
on the button or whatever.
Yeah. And that's the definition of me helping to make the handphone case.
Yeah,
right?
I don't want her to think that you just helped.
Yeah.
You know, because you really did build it up, stitch by stitch yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you know, to make it even more like
Special.
better, I will make a couple for her, right?
Yeah, just to prove the point that
Yeah.
hey, I made this.
Yeah, but I think you're right, lah. She'll probably, you know, would really appreciate if
It's a few.
yeah, it's a few, yeah.
And it's thoughtful. It's done by you, and you've chosen the colors, right?
yeah, I know for a fact that she'll definitely appreciate it.
Yeah. And she doesn't listen to this podcast, so we're not afraid that we're gonna ruin it for her.
Yeah, and I think it's nice if, because now I'm not, as of now I'm not a one whip girl, right? So far I realized that having small mini whips like this, because the handphone case is not really big, right?
Yeah,
it's
it's
not a
quite
very
small,
big
yeah.
project. It's something that if I work on a day, I can possibly complete it.
Actually, you did it within like an hour,
No, not an
2
hour.
hours maybe.
A couple of hours.
I took a nap. I went to take a nap that day, and the moment I woke up from my nap, Mel was like, "Oh, I'm done."
Yeah, definitely more than an hour, but
No,
yeah.
I think okay, maybe about 2 hours because I think my nap was around. It was a good 2 hour nap.
Yeah, so it's nice to, I think, you know how sometimes you explain to me it's nice to switch out projects to projects if you get, you know, a little bit tired of one and kind of like want to work on the other one. I do see that now.
Yeah, and to me, that's the reason why having more than one whip is important.
Yeah.
You know, it gives you fresh eyes when you come back to your current project, because sometimes it can feel like kind of stale, right? When
Yeah.
you're working on the same one color. Like I have somebody who's taking a crochet class with me, and she's doing like a virus shawl. And she said, "My gosh, I'm so sick of staring at this blue," you know.
Oh,
and,
right, okay.
And that's true. Sometimes, you
Yeah.
know, you can really love this color, but when you're having to stare at it for weeks on end,
Yeah,
it can kind of take a toll on your like psyche.
yeah.
Not to be dramatic, but that's how it feels like, you
Yeah.
know.
I think for me so far is if I'm working on something a little bit more complicated like a cardigan, where I have to have really intense focus
Yeah.
in order to like not mess up the stitch or the count or the row. Working on the handphone case takes my mind away from that because the handphone case is not complicated.
Yeah, it's
you know,
just
and I'm
simple
just
stitches.
it's very simple stitches. It's working like it's literally working one stitch after another stitch, round and round and round.
Yeah.
And so I'm not really thinking about it when I'm working on it, and you know that.
And that's where it becomes therapeutic.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, so then you have no problems with the headband because then it can be worked concurrently. Right?
Exactly right. There you go.
So, am I right to say that you just can't be working on two major projects at a time?
Yeah, okay, yeah. I guess that would be it. Yeah.
You know, I'm the complete opposite of that. I like to start really, really big projects all the time.
Uh-huh.
I don't really think about it being concurrent. I just know I want to start it because I have all these ideas in my head. By the time I sit down and say, Mel, I'm going to start on this project, I've already spent like night after night after night
crocheting it in your head already.
Yeah, exactly that. I crochet in my head first.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what it means to be, you know, like a designer or like...
Yeah, you have the finished piece in your head already.
I already know how I'm going to build it up. I know how many rows I'm going to do for this, you know. So
yeah.
I like starting really big projects without thinking about how many big projects I have pending.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's so different, right? That's the total opposite from me.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
So that was another whip that I'm working on right now.
My next whip, it's actually an addition to what I've already done. So would you say it's a year ago that I completed the blanket?
More than a year ago, I think.
I think it's pre-COVID, right?
Yeah.
So about pre-COVID times.
That's how we define things now, right? Yeah, that's the timeline.
That's literally how anybody calculates their time anymore. It's like pre or post-COVID.
Yeah, did that happen before COVID?
Pre-COVID? Yeah, because we didn't have to wear masks. That's kind of how, in my mind, I say it. Okay, so pre-COVID, I worked on a C2C blanket. It's like this really pretty colors. It's like pink and green.
It's
and
a
like
color
blue.
changing yarn, right?
Yeah, it's the Mandela cakes. It's the skinny Mandela cakes from Lion Brand Yarn. And I took about 4 balls of it, so that's 800 grams, and I made a huge C2C blanket. Or so I thought in my mind. So this blanket currently sits at about 180 by 140 centimeters. So if we convert that into inches, it's 70 inches by 55 inches. So it's kind of big. Right, it's big enough for like a single person. But recently, because this blanket has been used so much by the family, and it's living on the couch.
Yeah.
Recently, I found that it's not big enough for 2 people to snuggle.
Yeah.
So if I'm watching something on the television and Mel wants to sit on my left and our boy Nathan wants to sit on my right, we can't all squeeze together.
Yeah.
Right? And so I've been thinking about adding on another blanket. I have 2 blankets already, but it's nice to have just one mega huge blanket.
One big one, like a big family blanket.
Yeah, like a family-sized blanket.
Yeah.
So this current project I've already started on, and I'm building on to this current C2C blanket using the join as you go method. So I'm just literally adding on another section which will be identical. So I intend for it to be 2 sides. Basically, what did I say? 70 by 55 inches. I intend for the second portion to also be 70 by 55 inches.
Wow, okay.
So it's going to be a humongous blanket.
Yeah, wow.
At the end of the day. And that's what I really want. So what's the math like? So it's going to be 70 by 110 inches. I think that's what it will be, yeah. So I intend for it to be really, really huge. And initially I thought of just making another blanket and stitching it in the middle, like combining it together.
Okay, which most people would just take 2 pieces and put it together, yeah?
Yeah, like sewing 2 pieces together. Another option was to add a border. So just keep expanding that border.
Okay, yeah.
Until it's bigger, because it could potentially add up to 4, 5 or 6 inches on both sides, right? But then I really wanted double in size, so a border didn't make sense.
Yeah.
So then I was thinking about it. If I'm going to make a C2C blanket and combine it, because it's color changing yarn, then the center seam will be like...
Sort of like a different color?
Yeah, it will be the different color. They won't be ugly, because the color is going to change weirdly. It's not going to match either side of the yarn, you know?
And it's almost like, if it's sewing, I can see the stitching, right?
Right,
yeah.
And I don't like that look. I want it to be seamless. So, I mean... a good option would be the C2C, join as you go. The only reason I've hesitated on it for so long is because I didn't want to remove that blanket from the sofa. Because everybody uses it.
Yeah.
Right? In fact, the day that I decided to do it, Mel was taking a nap on the sofa with that blanket. So
I conveniently just wrapped it around me.
Yeah, and I felt so bad, and I sort of stood there.
To rip it off me, yeah.
I stood there for a while looking at Mel going, can I just take this blanket off you?
And I don't remember. Was I half asleep?
You were. So what I did was I did like a super spy swap with the other blanket.
With the other blanket, I see, right.
Yep, so...
The other blanket was smaller.
It's much smaller, yeah.
Right?
So I'm working on that C2C, almost said cardigan, blanket
yeah.
currently, and doing it the join as you go. The only issue with it is because this blanket is currently so big, it's kind of hard to maneuver so much fabric on my lap as I'm working on it.
Because for the join as you go method, you have to work on the existing piece together, right?
Yes, exactly. Okay. So the existing piece needs to be kind of on my lap. Wow. And then I'm going back and forth on every row, and then at some point I freaked myself out because I thought I was working on the wrong side.
Okay.
Because I want to add it to the 70 inches portion, not the 55.
Right.
And so, I panicked a little bit, but then I realized all's cool, that's fine, don't worry.
Okay, but wow, I mean, working with like 180 by 140 existing blanket must be such a hassle.
It's huge, it's really huge. Yeah. And I ran out of yarn after the first corner.
You've been running out of yarn, a lot of yarn for all your projects.
Because guys, recently we had a live yarn sale that you know about, and all my yarn got sold. So... let this be a moment where Mel realizes that I don't have enough yarn.
Oh, so she says.
When I say, Mel, I don't have enough yarn, I really mean it.
At the start of this podcast, she mentioned she bought 4 kgs of yarn.
But that's but that's all to sell. That's all for the customers.
Okay, I'll remember that.
I brought it in specifically based on their specifications.
Yes, that's what they asked for, right?
Yeah, so I was really good that way, and it's just a sample size.
Okay, but I do like the idea of having a family size blanket, so I approve of this purchase.
And I think the join as you go method is so classy. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's not the right word, but it's so clean. It's so clean
the
looking.
Look of it, right?
Yeah, the way it connects is so wonderfully clean. Like the stitching is so nice. The way it slip stitches attaches to the work is so beautiful.
Yeah. I think I like the way you say it looks so seamless. Because when I look at how you are attaching the current
the piece to the current old piece,
it does look like exactly identical.
Yeah, and it's connected via a slip stitch, so it's just many slip stitches throughout that piece, and it's just like a nice tinge of color. It's not like an ugly seam right down the middle.
Yeah.
And you don't feel it, right? So when you touch it, the part where it connects, it feels just like any other part of the fabric.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm working on. Wish me luck, because I think it might take me a while. It's C2C, which is one of my favorite stitches.
Yeah.
If you listen to our favorite stitches episode, you know that.
Yeah, I do like C2C as well.
It builds up so quickly because it's C2C.
Yeah.
And it's just a fun stitch to work on,
Yeah, it's just that we kind of have to put the blanket aside for now, right?
Yeah, I mean, we could still put it on the sofa.
With a little piece incomplete.
It's just that there will be a little triangular portion sticking out funny.
Out of nowhere. Yeah.
Maybe that could cover your neck. I don't know. So anyway, that's my next whip that I'm working on.
Yeah.
Next big whip that I'm really excited about.
So my next whip, I guess I can't really call it a whip because I haven't started on it yet. But it's a project that I do want to get on. It's also another C2C project.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah, you mentioned that to me, I think.
What was the design you were saying? It's
it's gingham.
No, yeah, there you go.
So it's a join as you go, but like a gingham design. Like, what was it? I keep wanting to say C2C blanket or cardigan, but it's not, right?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm thinking probably something wearable. Either a cardigan or, I don't know, maybe a vest. I don't know. I'm not sure. I probably need to do more research on it first. I just want to mention, I think it's interesting that a lot of my projects, I decide to start on it is because I see you working on it first.
Yep.
You were mentioning your C2C join as you go blanket, and I guess like I would look at your computer because I'm using the work computer as well.
Yeah.
And I would see your patterns that you're researching, and I'm like, hey, this is interesting, and I like C2C as
Yeah.
well, you know.
You know, I distinctively remember this conversation that we had, crochet conversation that we had. I was trying to explain to Mel what I was trying to do with my C2C Join As You Go blanket. The one I just mentioned, because I was kind of in like a dilemma and I was trying to brainstorm, because Mel is like my idea thrower sticker.
Sorry, say what again?
My idea thrower sticker.
Throw a sticker.
Thrower sticker.
Okay.
Basically, if I have an idea and I throw it at Mel, if it sticks, then I do it. If it doesn't stick, I don't do it.
Okay,
So
got it.
my thrower sticker.
Throw a sticker. Okay.
So Mel is kind of the person that I run through almost everything with. If there is a flaw to be found, she will sort of pick it up, pick it apart and find that flaw for me. And if there's any portion of that I haven't thought through, Mel would sort of highlight that for me. And so it's kind of a really good way for me to almost like fact checked myself to make sure that before I start on anything, I know exactly what I'm doing. So that's how this whole conversation about the Join As You Go technique came about in this conversation with her. And so I remember you kind of saying, what is this Join As You Go?
Yeah.
And you were watching me try to C2C it, and I remember you said, oh, I miss doing C2C.
Yeah, because my last C2C project was on a cardigan.
Was
Yeah.
it a card? What was
Yeah.
it? Oh,
that earth tone color cardigan.
okay,
You
yeah.
remember
Oh,
that?
yeah, I do.
Yeah, it was one of my first few projects. Yeah.
Yeah, that. So Mel said, oh, I miss doing C2C.
Yeah.
And then I said, oh my god, you should totally try, the C2C Join As You Go. And I don't think you put much thought into it until you saw the gingham design on my computer.
Yeah.
Right, I pulled out some photos for you. And Mel was immediately taken by it.
By I don't know, is it because it looks like Granny Square? So I'm like, hey, it kind of looks like Granny Square, right? And you were explaining,
And in fact, when I was explaining to you, one of the first few things you said was, oh, so it attaches like a Granny Square. It doesn't. It's so much easier because there are no tails
It
to
is
weave
so much
in.
easier. The moment you mentioned I don't have to sew in tails, I was like, okay, add that to my list of, projects to do. Yeah.
You do still have some tails, but it's not like you're sewing individual squares together.
Yep.
You literally join as you go, and it's so
That's a plus there already.
yeah. And like I said earlier, my earlier point, it's like it's clean. It's so clean.
Yeah. So I just want to do it right now, but I
Yeah.
don't know what I want to do it for. I don't know what to turn
Yeah.
it into yet.
Why don't you just do a swatch?
First?
Yeah, and see. But then again, I'm not. I always say people should swatch, but I hate to swatch.
Yeah.
I never. I shouldn't say never. I rarely swatch. I'm trying to be better at it. I am collecting like a swatch basket where all my swatches have instructions with them, but it's like really, really slow and tedious process. If I think about sitting down to work behind a desk, I think about swatching.
Right. It's equivalent to that, right?
Yeah. So, but maybe you should swatch it first.
And then you think I would probably get some ideas
Maybe,
after swatching?
like,
Yeah,
do you know
maybe.
what colors you want?
No, I haven't really thought about it. It's just the idea of that technique
Yeah.
is so it's just intriguing to me.
And you
I
like C2C.
and I like C2C. I just want to work on C2C.
Yeah, and I let you try on the blanket, right?
Oh yes.
I kind of passed Mel my crochet hook
Because
in
it's
the
just
blanket.
easier to kind of show me and teach me how
To
the
demonstrate,
join
yeah.
the join as you go works.
And
So,
she
yeah.
got it in like the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's so simple.
And it's so clean looking. I know I say it a million times, but it really is. If you have not tried the C2C Join As You Go, you definitely should. It's one of those things that maybe because I'm lazy, and maybe because I hate sewing things together.
Yeah, or the idea that you don't have to sew in the tails, you hate that portion of it.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's because it's one thing to sew in the tail that comes from the slip knot and the final chain one pull through, right?
Yeah.
It's already one thing to sew those in, but then to have to attach another set of tail
Yeah.
to weave the two portions together, it kills me. That's the only reason my granny square blanket hasn't grown from like 20 squares.
Yeah,
because
I know, right?
it's such a pain. It's such a pain.
Like if I were to calculate the amount of time I spent on my granny square cardigan, 50% of that would be just sewing in the tails,
I
to
agree,
be honest.
and I helped you sew in some of that, and even I got sick of it. So, really, kudos to you considering that's your first real big project, right?
Thank you. I was just, so like I was mentioning, I think that when I see you, maybe because I'm such a visual learner, when I see you working on something like a new technique or a new stitch, like even my granny square and my C2C, and I think even the lemon peel cardigan was because you were trying out the stitch or something. And I don't know, maybe you were such a good salesperson in trying to sell me that stitch and saying like how it's so easy and it's not so complicated, you know.
And you know, I like to share things with you. When I come across a stitch that I really like doing, the first thing I want to do is let you try, because it's such a fun stitch. And all of you guys listening, tell me if you agree with me. Some stitches are just fun to do.
Yeah. You know, I agree,
certain stitches are boring to do. Like I think pre-COVID, I posted an Instagram photo on my feed saying that this, can you guess the stitch or whatever, and some people guessed it right as half double crochet. And I asked, what are some of the stitches that you guys hate doing? And some people say single crochet. They hate working in single crochet because it takes forever.
Oh wow, so I'm not the only one.
Oh, you don't like the single crochet stitch?
I don't like the single crochet.
I love it.
You like single crochet?
I like it. I think it's it makes such a okay. I like it because of the result it gives me.
Yeah.
I don't particularly enjoy the stitch itself, but I don't hate it.
I feel like it goes hand in hand with, for me. For me to like it, I need to enjoy working on it.
But I like the end result enough to, it sort of balances out how boring that stitch is.
Right.
But some people say like the picot stitch, they really hate it. Like hate working on the picot stitch, which actually I don't mind also. So tell me if you agree with me. Some stitches are just fun to do. Like the herringbone stitch, the half double herringbone stitch. I think it's so fun to do. So C2C is,
it's another one.
Join as you go is just another one of those fun stitches. And so what was my point? When I come across a stitch that I really like doing, like the lemon peel, I just want to tell you about it. And I come to you and say, you should try this stitch. Oh my god, it's so fun.
And I get to visually see it. I see you do it, and I do see like a end result, sort of like maybe a swatch, or sometimes it could even be a finished product, for example.
And I like also seeing the end result that Mell comes up with, like her swatch, because would you say you're a looser crocheter?
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
I err on the tighter tension side, so my work tends to have a much tighter tension as opposed to Mell. So like the lemon peel stitch, when I first did it, it looks really lacy.
Yeah.
But when Mell did it, it looks really nice and loose. It it has breathing space in between the stitches. You can really see the stitch definition, and it's just so interesting to see how one stitch could work so differently between two people and their tension.
Yeah, and I think I'm so lucky that I have someone who's so creative and always coming up with new designs and new ideas that I can sort of draw from. And I guess I'm hoping that I can use maybe some of that to draw some inspirations. And even during our live sale, all the friends, ideas, that were joining us for the Instagram live, they were also sharing a lot of ideas, like
their own project,
their own
what
projects.
They're gonna do and stuff like that.
So I don't know, maybe hopefully some of you guys have any ideas on C2C ideas that you can share some with me, or if not, I'll just try to draw inspirations from some.
And I don't even think I'm that creative, because I feel like I am just a creative person, but I get a lot of my ideas, like, this is a topic that has been over discussed in the whole art world, is how much inspiration is borrowed from something else. Like nothing is really truly original.
Right.
And even though it's a really nice comment that you say that I am like a creative person, I do draw my inspiration from other places. And a big part of that is from you guys. When you tag me in what you're doing, or when you sometimes when you follow me, and if it's like if it's open account, I will scroll through your profile page and see what are some of the things that you're doing.
You're working on.
And we're so lucky that some of you actually just send me photos anyway. And it's so nice to see how one thing, like for, let's take for example a granny square, could be worked out in so many different ways. And even the sizing of it matters. We could be working on the exact same pattern, but if I work on a 2mm hook and you on a 6, the final product is just it's a whole different world, and that's what I like. You know,
Yeah.
it's like creatively, like almost like crowdfunding, but like crowd creative
Yeah.
funding. You know?
Yeah, knowing that I'm a fan of Granny Square, one of our Instagram followers actually
yeah.
shared her completed project, and she was so proud of it, and we are so proud of her
And
project.
she's also a one whip girl.
Yeah, yeah. So same as me, and she was just sharing it with me, and just seeing her working on her Granny Square makes me want to get back on working on a Granny Square project again.
And you know what else too? When they send a project, they're midway, and before you know it, they send the completed project. Man, it really like kicks my ass because it's like I need to buck up. You know, I can't be sitting on a project for weeks and weeks. And,
Not even weeks, right?
yeah, and within a week, they were sending us updates of what they do, and it's really nice because I love having a conversation with y'all that way.
Yeah.
And we recognize usernames. you
Yeah,
know?
now, yeah.
So sometimes when I'm referring to something to Mel, I will say, do you remember that, insert username did that color? Or when I see yarn that reminds me of someone else did, like a pink yarn or whatever, I say, oh, remember, insert username. It's like this pink is kind of like her pink blanket, or along those lines.
Yeah, make references like that, yeah.
So it's really nice that we get to have this community almost that like puts ideas back and forth with
that's
us.
happy and excited to constantly be sharing new ideas and different topics, and I mean it goes back to why we started this
In the first place,
yeah.
So basically, guys, if you have any ideas on what Mel could do with a C2C join as you go, and it's gonna be done in a gingham style because that's what you like.
Preferably, yeah.
You want it to be a wearable.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping.
Okay, so like a clothing style, right?
Or something to put on me, yeah.
And also, guys crochet is not so easy to come by.
Yeah, now that you mention it, I think I was complaining to you
Earlier today, yeah.
That I was trying to draw, some inspiration like you mentioned online, and I couldn't really find anything.
Yeah. And also that's what I mentioned too in our I think it was like one of the earlier resolutions episode for this year, and I talked about wanting, part of my resolutions is to design or create more gender neutral crochet stuff.
Yeah.
Because you just take a Google, okay, just Google crochet clothing, and it's all girls. It's all like cis female.
Okay.
It's all very feminine looking. They're very little crochet clothing for guys, and if it's for guys, it's just a sweater.
I googled crochet men. Okay, being very generic, right?
Crochet men.
Crochet men.
Okay.
Yeah, very specific there. And two things came out most. Okay, it was...
Let me guess.
Okay.
Sweaters, cardigans, and socks.
No.
Oh, no, really?
Beanie and house slippers.
Oh my goodness, come on.
Yeah.
Guys deserve more than that.
Yeah, not even sweaters or cardigan. I think those are probably the next few top searches, right? But it's house slippers and beanies. I mean, there must be more to it than that, right? I don't know, because I think crochet can look really good on guys as well, right?
And so for those of you who have not seen how we look like, I am a typical feminine girl. I have long hair, I paint my nails, I wear makeup, I have lash extensions, the whole works, right? I love makeup, I love to deck myself out, I'm in dresses, that's me. But Mel, on the other hand, she's more androgynous. She is almost, I think there are so many terms nowadays, I don't want to say it wrong, but I think you're like non-binary.
Yeah.
Which means you don't subscribe particularly to a female or a male sort of outlook, or you don't present yourself that way. I think if I'm saying it right,
the term correctly, yeah.
Because
even I'm not that sure.
Yeah, because in Singapore, these terms are not so prevalent. There's not much talk around these terms, so it's not so easy for us to find information that way. But anyway, Mel is more androgynous that way. She has short hair, really, really like a dude's cut. She doesn't wear dresses.
Nope.
Never ever. She's like dressed like a guy, So when I want to crochet something for her, it's like, do you want a crop top, my dear? A lacy crop top? Or do you want like a bikini something? Or do you want something lacy? And Mel would never wear that. So I feel like my whole crochet world exists around sweaters, cardigans for Mel, which is so boring,
Yeah,
you know?
even I have only crocheted, okay, so far 2 cardigans and 1, 8, no, I think 3 cardigans so far.
I think 3 cardigans,
you see, and that's all I've done. And
So
I
if
want
you-
to do more like different things.
Yeah, and if you do like a C to C join as you go, then it's like another cardigan.
Yeah.
And you know, we talked about Singapore's weather earlier. It's not feasible to constantly be wearing thick crochet cardigans. Even if it's in cotton, it's still, I mean, you're in 90 degrees weather.
Yeah.
90 degrees Fahrenheit, I mean. We don't need to be in a crochet sweater
All the time, yeah.
all the time. And if you're in an office, fine. But everyone's working from home these days. Who's going to the office? Nobody.
Not yet, yeah. But yeah, exactly that. So I really am looking for something different, something else to work on, you know, something interesting.
Yeah. So if you guys have any ideas, please send us. Oh my goodness, I just
Ouch.
killed my elbow on the table. So what was I saying?
Yeah, please
send us
send
like
me some
ideas,
yeah.
or send us like pins, like Pinterest pins.
Oh yeah.
For
yeah.
Mel, if you
It'll be
see
interesting.
anything, or even if it's not done in C2C join as you go, it could be something similar. We
Yeah,
could
yeah.
figure it out. You know,
Yeah.
that's the fun of designing.
I'm just really open to different ideas right now. I think even if it's not something that's wearable, I'm okay.
I think I might do one in a laptop case for myself.
Ah, okay.
Because you know, I don't have a laptop case, a crochet laptop case
Yeah.
for myself. So maybe I'll do
yeah,
that.
that's an idea.
Or like a laptop cover. Or
Yeah.
iPad cover.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that we could try. Okay, so this episode is really getting a lot longer than we expected it to.
Yeah.
So I think what we'll do is and this was not planned, but I think we'll stop this episode here and continue part 2 in the next episode.
Who knew, right? There's so many things to talk about with.
I thought this episode would be done and dusted in
Yeah.
30 minutes, but
Yeah.
I guess it's an hour long plus some, because Mel and I both still have a little bit more of our individual whips to talk about.
Yeah, I do want to share my next one, which is pretty
A big
interesting.
project, yeah. And I too have another very big project that I haven't yet talked about. And that's our individual project. So I think what we'll do is that we will stop the episode here, let you guys go enjoy the rest of your day, and come back next week where we will share our big individual projects plus the shared combined projects that we're
Yes.
working on. So Mel and I are working on a project together. So that will be a creative process. And also we want to share a little bit about our non-crochet whips. So it's work in progress for us because it's relating to the crochet business. And this is really from our business point of view. It's no
Yeah.
longer just the physical crochet itself, but you know, all the other peripherals about what we're doing to expand the business, and it's something that we want to share with you guys too,
Yeah.
even before we launch it. So we will do that with you guys next week. I think it might be
hopefully
another
we won't overrun too much.
I think it might be another long episode too, because it's things we're excited about, right?
Yeah.
So thank you so much for sticking with us. But if you have any other questions, you can find us on Instagram or Facebook. We are at Crooked Crochet SG, and you know, or you can email your questions to us. We are crookedcrochetsg@gmail.com, or you can drop us an iMessage or WhatsApp at +65 91272743. You know, if you want to contribute to our podcast with your own quick questions, you know, we would love if you send us a voice message. Then
Yeah.
we can, you know, kind of include it at the start of our episodes and hear your voices. I think that would be so lovely. Mm-hmm. And anyway, all the information that you need to contact us will be listed in the show notes. You know, I hope to hear from you. I really like hearing you guys.
Yeah, exactly. Don't stop sharing your ideas, and you know, especially sharing ideas with me because I'm really stuck on that. And tell us what's going on with your whips too.
Yeah, I don't think we need to say that because they have been telling us and it's been really exciting. So, you know, but still tell us anyway. I love seeing your ideas, you know, however you want to send them
Yeah.
to me.
Don't forget to check back with us next week for the part 2 of this episode.
Part 2. Okay, I'm excited for next week. And we'll see you Sunday.
See you guys next Sunday.
Bye.